Crank up the volume and get ready for real-world bird hunting by listening to the Wingmen Podcast by Eastman's. Now your host, Todd Helms.
Hey guys, this week's episode is brought to you by Federal Premium Ammunition. Federal Premium has been just an awesome partner for us from the beginning, and I take great pride in the fact that we've been able to maintain a good relationship with them because they make I'm just be honest, they make the best shotgun shells on the planet. They just released a brand new shot shell yesterday. It's a duplex steel load with just regular steel shot, regular zinc-plated steel shot, and it's a blend of shot, 2 different sizes in there, and they've got it all nestled into their Flight Control Flex wad. So you're going to get super tight patterns. You're going to get very even, dense patterns because of the smaller sizes of shot, and you're going to get knockdown power thanks to the larger sizes of shot. So go check out that load and everything else that Federal does. Guys, they've got a shot shell for anything you want to do, whether it's practice or hunting. They got you covered. Federal Premium, thank you. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Wingmen Podcast. This week, I'm going to recap duck season 2023/early 2024. I've talked to a lot of folks around the country, and this time of year to get guests on the podcast that can talk about duck hunting can be a little tough because everybody's grinding. Everybody's out trying to kill birds, trying to squeeze out the last juice of the season. And that's what we did yesterday. Yesterday was our last day of duck season here in Wyoming, and it was a highlight on what was an otherwise abysmal season, extremely disappointing season. Nobody's fault. It was just weather. The birds didn't make it down here until we got extremely cold, and duck season always is weather dependent, as everybody knows, and that seems like a oversimplification, but it's the truth. But what I don't think a lot of people can understand or really, really grasp until they experience it is you can get too much weather. And that's been the case the last 2 years for us, this year especially. We needed weather to get birds down to us because they were stalled out in northern Montana, even into Alberta and Saskatchewan. And you guys that are in the South, Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, you know this more than most because you guys have had no birds this year. We at least had a little push of birds that came in about October, early November, but man, they were stale as week-old donuts after about a week of being here and getting pounded on, and they were almost unkillable. And so producing content was an extreme challenge. Just getting out and doing a fun hunt with the family or buddies was almost pointless. I mean, you were almost better off to just take the kids to the water park or something because you're better off spending that quality time with family than you were in the duck blind, just simply because there were no birds to kill. And so it's been that way for a lot of folks around the country. But when we got the weather that we needed, we got too much. We got extreme cold. And by extreme cold, I mean standing temperatures, ambient temperatures in the negative 20s, dipping into the negative 30s, even colder in Montana, with wind chills in, I think the biggest wind chill that I saw was like negative 51. It was extremely cold. And so what that does is it pushes birds like crazy, and it pushed birds all the way into the south, and all you guys got loaded up, but it freezes up your water. And if you're a flooded timber hunter or a still water hunter, your water got frozen immediately unless you had an aerator running or had some sort of geothermal activity in a pond or something. You didn't have water to hunt. And what we hunt, as you guys have seen on the videos on the YouTube channel and on social media, is predominantly our fast-flowing western rivers, which are trout streams. They run fast. They run low this time of year, and ice buildup can become a real issue. Well, with that extreme cold, we got birds, but we got iced out. Our river spots were unhuntable. There was birds on the river, but when you go down to the river and the anchor ice from the banks is frozen the river into about a 10-foot wide slushy run in the middle, there's really no place for those birds to be. The geese will sit on the ice and go in and out to feed. Geese are pretty hardy about sitting on ice. They do okay with that. Ducks like water to roost. Where we are located, we have lots of geothermal activity because we are so close to Yellowstone National Park. And what that does is it kind of creates, no pun intended, a hot spot here in our little tiny region that holds a few birds when it gets cold. But as you can imagine, those little geothermal features, the little hot ponds or warm water springs, creeks, they come at a premium. And if you look this time of year, you'll see a lot of outfitters posting pictures of skinny water mallard hunts, and they're hunting a ditch that's no wider than this table, and it'll be loaded with ducks. It'll be thousands of ducks piled into this little drain, but they come at a premium. They're almost all on private property, and the competition to get to them when it gets cold like that is fierce. Everybody's scrambling because everybody has had a crap duck season, and they got a couple weeks left or a few days left, and they're trying to salvage what they can of a duck season, and we were no different. We got long story short, we got 2 slammer duck hunts in at the very end of the season. We got one in a cornfield that you guys are going to love. We were able to jump in with our good buddy Noah Miller's outfit, Mountain View Mallards. We were able to jump in with him. It was a scout that one of his guides and I kind of found that young man was watching it, and then I found it, and we kind of worked together, and he got permission, and it worked out. We were able to jump in with them, and it was awesome. So thank you, Noah, for making that happen. I really appreciate that. And if you guys are, shameless plug for Noah, his Mountain View Mallards, guys, if you guys are looking, if you're listening to this and you're looking for a Western duck hunt, you want to hunt cornfields or barley fields, you want to hunt western rivers or spring-fed ponds and creeks, you need to look up Mountain View Mallards and Noah Miller. You can find them on social media. They got a website. Noah has an amazing lodge, brand new lodge that he just built. Awesome food, awesome guides. These guys work their butts off, and they're some of the best in the business that I've been around. They are phenomenal. So shout out to you, Noah. Guys, go check them out, Mountain View Mallards. You'll like what you see, and they can get you on birds when just about anybody else can't. So there's a shameless plug for my buddy Noah Miller. Thanks for letting us hunt with you, Noah. We had a banger in a cornfield with you. Turned out we killed 45 birds, had a 9-man limit in, I don't know, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours in the blind on a really cold morning, and it was just phenomenal. So we have that to bring you in a video. And then yesterday, the last day of season, we were able to grind it out, and we killed a 4-man limit of greenheads, a bonus goldeneye, and 7 big old honkers on the river. And we did it in a duck blind spot that you guys know well. If you watch our YouTube channel, you've seen us hunt a couple of the same spots quite frequently. And honestly, it's because they're really good spots. And yesterday was no exception. But a little backstory on yesterday, I made a post about on Instagram on Monday to the Instagram page, the Wingmen Instagram page, and Facebook page as well, of us chainsawing out the ice in the river, and got a couple questions about why would you chainsaw out ice? Why do you have to chainsaw the ice? Well, we could hunt that spot as it was and just put decoys on the ice and probably decoy some birds, but we couldn't get our dogs in and out of the river because the river was frozen out into just the main fast channel, and it's too deep for a dog to touch, and it's really fast current. So what happens is you put a dog in, jump off the ice, get your bird, no problem. But then when it's time to get them back out, they're clinging on this ice, holding on for dear life, and they can't get their back feet any purchase. So what we were doing is downstream of the blind, we chopped out, I don't know, probably 75 to 80 yards of shelf ice with a chainsaw and giant and big tamping bars, prying it away from the bank, got it broken up. It was so our dogs could actually get their feet under them and just jump out on the ice. And then we busted out a hole, and with a chainsaw, we cut out a big chunk in front of the blind to put some decoys in the water, but we did mostly an ice shelf set yesterday with field mallards and goose full bodies and just a handful of floaters in the river. Because if you look at what the birds are doing this time of year on a partially frozen river, they're sitting on the ice. There'll be a few birds in the water splashing around doing their thing, but for the most part, they're sitting on the ice. And that's what we mimicked yesterday, and it worked extremely well. Now, we still had to compete with some stale birds, but we had enough new birds that had moved into the area where we had the birds that decoyed really hard. Being the last day, we weren't super picky on our shots. If we had birds, swing over and kind of give us the flyby, but we're in easy shooting range, we shot. But we did kill quite a few birds that were feet down, back flapping right over the decoys, which on the last day of a hard season, that was just icing on the cake to get birds to do that yesterday and to really finish ducks in the decoys it was awesome. It was really cool. But it takes a lot of work to do that. Back to that social media post that I was talking about of my buddy Tyler running a chainsaw. I explained that to the one question was, why would you do that? And I just explained the reasoning behind that. But the other part was, I've always joked, and you see the memes about everybody wants to be a waterfowler until it's time to do waterfowler things. And it's only half tongue in cheek, because when the weather's nice, when there's lots of birds, when it's easy, everybody does it. Everybody wants to jump in, go play Duck Dynasty out there and haul some decoys into a spot and set up and drink coffee and eat donuts because it's fun. That's why we all love it. But you separate the wheat from the chaff when the weather gets nasty, and you got to want it pretty bad to be out there. You might have to work like we did to break ice. I don't know how many tons of ice we broke up and moved away, but it was crazy how much ice we moved. And what that did is it gave that river current time to work overnight as well. And we got down there, and there was a bunch more ice that went out during the night because it stayed warm at night. And our efforts to open it up just made it that much better. But there's no doubt in my mind that if we hadn't put in the work on Monday, and Tyler and I broke ice from noon until dark, and his hands are all blistered up. I didn't blister, but my thumbs are sore from holding on to that tamping bar. My fingers are cracked. I got a good shoulder workout. My upper body, I didn't have to go to the gym yesterday, or on Monday, I'm sorry, because I worked that tamping bar and pried on ice like crazy. So I skipped the gym on Monday because I got enough exercise in moving ice. But sometimes, guys, waterfowling can be extremely hard work. And I have found that my level of success in duck hunting and goose hunting is directly proportional to the amount of work that I put into it. If you're out there and you're listening to this and somebody you're thinking, well, yeah, duh. But other people are probably going, oh, I don't know. And I'd like to do that, but let me just clue you into the amount of work that it is. The amount of work that we put in to shoot a handful of ducks this year. It's hauling decoys, it's brushing blinds, obviously, but it can be things like busting out ice to make a hole in really nasty weather. It can be things like driving hundreds and hundreds of miles to find a feed, to find one of those little hot water ditches. It can be talking to 15 landowners before you get a yes to get permission to get into someplace. It's working your dog in the off season when you want to be spending time with the family or sitting in the backyard chilling and grilling, but you're running drills with your dog and making sure that they're dialed and that they're ready to go. And if you're really into it, that's all a labor of love. You do it because that's what you love to do. And it's work, it's hard work, but it's fun. It's part of the process. And I love that part of the process. There's definitely things that I enjoy more than others. I love working my dogs. I love training my dogs. And I'll give you a little update on how the dogs did this year, because yesterday was pretty cool. But there's just a lot of work that goes into duck hunting in general, waterfowling in general, goose hunting, anything that you're going to be successful at. It kind of permeates throughout life in general, in that honestly, the more work that you put in, usually the more success you experience. And waterfowling is no different. The work just comes in different forms. This season was a testament to that. We had to work hard to shoot the handful of birds that we did. Lots of scouting, lots of road miles, lots of talking to people, lots of, chopping ice, lots of hauling decoys, just lots of work to shoot a few birds. And that's okay. That's part of it. And you got to be willing to put in that hard work to be able to kill some birds on a regular basis. But switching gears a little bit to like a season overview, kind of a season recap. The two hunts that we had that were extremely good. We had other hunts, but I don't think they probably won't make a video. We had a one hunt one morning where we had early in December, we had pintails and snow geese hanging around in December. And that's unheard of around here. There's always some pintails around. We had a bunch, and that was kind of weird. We had one morning where we really got into the pintails, and if things would have worked out better, we would have had full limits, like a 4-man limit of pintails. We ended up getting three young Drake pintails, birds of the year, so they didn't have big sprigs on them, but it's a Drake pintail. It's super cool. That's always kind of a bucket list bird for me. Growing up in Michigan, we didn't shoot pintails like ever. Every now and then somebody'd get one, and it was like the holy grail. So that's a big deal. That was really cool. Same with snow geese. We don't see a lot of snow geese here in this part of Wyoming. They come through. They don't stay very long. A lot of times they just fly right over us as they're headed further south. So to shoot some snows here and there mixed in with Canada's is always kind of cool. And we were able to do that this year. Damped car shot a juvie snow that was it's a neat experience. It's something different than just the regular old mallards and honkers, which I love mallards and honkers, don't get me wrong. But it's nice to get some variety once in a while as well. And we got that this year. So that was fun. That was a highlight of the season, if you will. But the field hunt that we had that was an absolute smasher, that was just a product of lots of scouting, both on my end, but more on Noah's guys' end, because they're out there every day, and we were able to, like I said, fortunate to be able to jump in with them on that. But even that, you have to pay attention to the little things on a hunt like that, because you have to look at what the birds are doing. No different than how I set decoys yesterday on the ice to mimic what the birds are doing. We did the same thing in the field. You looked at those birds, how those mallards were feeding, and they were in corn rows. It's harvested and baled cornfield. And the birds were in the stubble rows, digging in the snow for whatever waste grain was out there. And we set our decoys accordingly. If we looked at the field, there would be rows of birds in the corn. And so we set our decoys in rows, put the spinners in, and blocked both ends with groups of geese to really pin those birds and make them center up. At one point, we had birds really kind of side slipping and wanting to be on my end. which wasn't ideal. When you got a bunch of clients, you want those birds centered up right in the middle. So what we did, we got out, we moved the geese in tighter to the ducks, and we put all of the spinners in the middle of the spread. Instead of having a couple on each end, we put them right in the middle of the spread. The next several groups would swing out, and then they centered us up perfectly. So reading those birds and fine-tuning those tactics on anytime you're hunting, but especially on tough years like this, it's the little things like that add up. And pretty soon you're piling up birds where before you were kind of picking them off here and there. One or two little tweaks can make a big difference. And with ducks, anytime I'm decoying ducks in a field especially, I want blocking groups of geese on each end, and I want my duck decoys in the middle. I want those ducks to land where those ducks are, and I want my spinners in the middle. On a river spread, I'll have usually some geese down here, geese here, and some geese in the middle. It's funny, on water, ducks kind of gravitate to geese. They like them. It means safety for them. The geese stir up the bottom, and the ducks can pick off food. It's kind of ducks like to decoy in with geese on water. And so I'll use goose decoys like we did yesterday. Now, yesterday's spread, the key to success yesterday, obviously the biggest key was making a hole, making a place where we could hunt. And it was just doing the work, breaking ice. But then when it came to a decoy spread, we had to mimic exactly what those birds were doing on the ice. And it was a lot of ducks sitting on the ice with a few ducks in the water, and they're always mixed in with geese. And so we hauled down goose decoys, sleeper shells, and full bodies, a couple of spinners. And I'll get to the spinner thing in a minute. It's kind of interesting, something we've noticed the last few years hunting the river. But put everything kind of in so ducks would center up in the middle, and that's exactly what they did. The birds that we shot feet down in the decoys that we finished, they were right in the middle of the spread. It was perfect. You couldn't ask for anything better. In fact, we had ducks literally fall right in the decoys, that's the goal. You want to finish birds right in the decoys. On a tough year when we've got a lot of stale birds mixed in, if we could get birds to give us a look that was in ethical shooting range with wings set, gliding, we shot them yesterday. Last day, we shot them. I'd like to say that we finished all our birds right in the decoys. That wasn't the case. And I'm not talking about sky busting, because I saw some of that on Saturday. Hunted a spot with a good friend, spot he had permission to hunt, and downstream of it was quite a bit of public. And the amount of sky busting that I saw on Saturday morning was disheartening, to be real honest. I don't know any of those other hunters. I might have known who they were, but I didn't see them. We didn't go down there. There was several public spots on the river in there. And it's kind of a canyon stretch, so the birds have to be below the canyon walls to even be killable. And guys are shooting them 20, 30, 40, 50 yards above the canyon walls. Kind of like tree topping in the flooded timber, but worse, because the canyon walls are a lot taller than trees. So that was disheartening to see. I get it. I understand it's a tough year. You want to get some birds. I get it. But part of doing the work of becoming a waterfowler is learning how to call, learning how to decoy birds, learning how to finish birds. Or if you're not finishing birds right, feet down in your decoys, man, on public land, that can be tough thing to do. Learning how to get them to come and swing at 30 yards. At 35 yards. So you're shooting ducks that have actually decoyed to you instead of just flying by and shooting them at 80 yards or 70 yards. With shot shell advancements, we can kill ducks a long ways away. But we wound a lot of birds in that process, and we educate a lot of birds in that process when we sky bust and we shoot too far. So put the work in this off season. Study decoy spreads. Practice with your calls. Figure out how to do the little things that are going to make you a better duck hunter. That's putting in the work. That's what I was talking about earlier. Everybody wants to be a waterfowler until it's time to do waterfowl things like practice your calling in the summertime, learning how to set decoy spreads, taking the extra time to do more scouting. It's little things. I hope you guys can take something away from that. I feel like I might have ranted a little bit right there. And it wasn't, I've been there. I still hunt public ground a lot. And I understand how hard it is to decoy birds, especially late in the season. It can be really tough. But doing the right thing means perfecting the craft, really. And I know I work on that continually every year. Some of the other things that looking back at this season that were a success, I was super impressed with the new Kryptek Flyway Dead Zone camouflage pattern. I've said it at first blush when I pulled it out of the box under fluorescent lights in my office. I thought it was too bright. I thought, wow, that's really yellow. That's really gold. That's really bright. And the reason I say that is when you're looking at it in a store, remember these words. The first time I took it out in the field under natural light in hunting conditions, I was blown away, especially when I got pictures, when I started looking at pictures of us wearing it, at video of us wearing it. It's the best waterfowl camouflage pattern that I've ever seen. It works extremely well, hides us incredibly well across a wide range of environments. Now, is it a great flooded timber or brushy environment camouflage? No, it's a little bright for that. But there's the whitetail pattern. Skyfall works extremely well for that. The old Highlander pattern works extremely well for those environments. Plus, I've got a sneaky suspicion that Kryptek's going to be coming out with a darker camouflage pattern to hunt like buckbrush and flooded timber. We'll see, but I think it's coming. I'm excited for the expansion of Kryptek's waterfowl line to see where that goes. I'm super pleased, super impressed so far. You guys are over there at Kryptek are killing it. Guns and loads. Man, the Savage Renegades just continues to impress, guys. If you get a chance to get your hands on one, do it and pick one up. If you could shoot one, if you see somebody that's got one, ask them to shoot it. You're going to be impressed. It's a workhorse for us, guys. We get in the grind of the season, and we're not, none of the guys I hunt with are as diligent as we should be at cleaning our shotguns. And it has not been an issue with the Savage, man. I cleaned mine a couple times this season, but towards the end when we were busy grinding and doing family stuff and other things, it got a little neglected. I had zero hiccups. The gun just goes bang. And stuff just falls when I shoot it. I love it. It points well, swings well, operates extremely well. Guys, give that shotgun a look if you're interested. And I hope, Savage, if you're listening to this, I hope there's a 20 gauge model in the works. That would be awesome for duck hunting. I would love that. Federal ammo, again, guys, shoot a lot of the Black Cloud. Federal has a new load that they just announced yesterday. We've in the industry, we've been privy to it for a little while. I haven't shot any of it yet, but talking to the guys at Federal and the reasoning behind it, I'm excited for it. It's going to be a mid-range price point. It's not the Black Cloud. It's more of like the Blue Box, but it's a duplex load. It's a blended steel load, flight stopper or with regular zinc plated steel, and the Flight Control Flex wad. That's going to give you good uniform patterns. That wad is spectacular. And layering shot in there, 2 different sizes, gives you pattern density and knockdown power in one shot shell. Again, I haven't shot any of it yet. I shared Federal's release of that yesterday as a story on the Wingmen Instagram page. It's still up. You can go to the Federal website and check it out. Cool new shot shell from those guys, man, and I am stoked to get some of it and put it through the paces next year. But this year, We shot a ton of black cloud like we always do, and it performed flawlessly across the board. It just floors me how effectively that stuff kills birds. This episode is also brought to you by Cryptek. Guys, I've been super impressed with the new Flyway Dead Zone camouflage pattern and the clothing pieces that it's offered in. It is a waterfowler's dream. It has been an awesome addition to our repertoire and of duck hunting gear. It's, man, you just disappear in that stuff. Just about any environment, any marshy environment that's lighter colored or cornfield or stubble fields, you just disappear in it, guys, and it is phenomenal. I love the fact that it fits well. It's not too small. It's not tight in weird places. It fits well. I love the fact that it's warm, that it performs, that it breathes, and the price point's great. If you're looking for new waterfowl gear, guys, you should be looking at the new Cryptek Flyway Dead Zone camouflage pattern and the select pieces that they have it offered in. There is a new waterfowl specific line coming out. They're going to start with a waterfowl jacket and waterfowl bibs. And talking to some guys in the know who have it and who've worn it and tested it, they said it is incredible. The bibs are the best they've ever used, and the jacket is ridiculously warm and comfortable to wear. So thank you, Cryptek, and guys, go check them out. You know, I grew up in the early ages of having to shoot non-toxic shot and early steel, and how bad it was, how far it's come. It is shot shell innovation because of the lead shot ban has gone leaps and bounds. And I know a lot of you older guys out there being like, that's the dumbest thing you've ever said, Todd. We're so worse off for not being able to shoot lead. And I don't agree. I don't think we are. I think it's forced us to become better waterfowl hunters in the fact that we have to decoy birds better to cleanly kill them. But shot shell innovation went through the roof because of that ban. And we got things like TSS out of it. We got the Flight Control Flex WAD. We learned way more about how to make shot shells deadly and deadlier than we ever would have if we'd have just kept shooting lead. Yeah, I think it's great. Now, I don't necessarily agree with the impetus behind a lead shot ban, especially when there's a bunch of other countries around the world that you can shoot lead shot in, when you can shoot cranes in a field with lead shot one day and turn around and shoot little geese in it the next day and have to shoot non-toxics on little geese. That doesn't make sense to me. But it is what it is. And because of that, we have new products like Federal's new load that came out yesterday that just keeps pushing the envelope. Everything just keeps getting better and better and better. And that's an exciting thing. It's an exciting time to be alive. So much new innovation, so many new things. It's cool. Onyx continues to be, you heard me talk about putting in the work and doing the scouting. I wouldn't be able to scout without Onyx. I think back to how we did it back in the day with like plat maps and knocking on doors, and I still do a lot of that. But man, my information's way more dialed now with Onyx, and I can find a field or a pond, and I can look up who owns it, and then I have a really good idea of where to go, what specific door to go knock on. Really narrows my search, cuts down my time in the field, trying to track down landowners, and it's such an awesome tool, and there's so many other things. A case use that we did on the field hunt we did for mallards. On Onyx, we were able to measure the distance between our blind and the closest building to make sure we knew we were far enough away to be legal, but we wanted to make sure that we had 400 or 500 yards between us just in case we shot towards that building, it happened a couple times. And that line distance tool in Onyx we were able to drop a point at the blind, drop a point at the building, and measure the distance in between. And we knew then, we're like, okay, we're safe. We're going to try not to shoot that direction, but if some pellets get sprayed that way, everybody's going to be safe. Use the various tools in your Onyx app, guys. they can be game changers. Things like that line distance measure are awesome for determining how far away from things you need to be, figuring out distances. Another thing I did a lot with Onyx at the end of the season was looking for warm water features like a possible drain, a ditch, a wet spot, a pond, things that might still be open in our area due to those geothermal features. Onyx, I was able to pull it up, especially on my desktop. I love running it on my phone, but man, when I really want to get in the weeds, I pull it up on a laptop or a desktop computer, and I can really dig in to that program. And man, it's just a phenomenal partnership with those guys, and because it's a phenomenal tool that I use constantly, and I love it. Those are some of the things that were real game changers for us this year. Leupold optics, whether it's performance eyewear, the sunglasses that we wear, or using binoculars for scouting. Having good optics, man, it makes a world of difference. There was, on that mallard field hunt that we did, clients were struggling a little bit to pick out drakes from hens because of the lighting situation. I threw my performance eyewear on from Leupold. I was instantly able to pick out drakes. It gave me the color contrast and sharpness I needed to be able to help those guys be like, on the right, shoot the bird on the right, shoot the bird on the right. And that way we weren't shooting too many hens. Because sometimes, duck just looks like a duck. It's just a dark silhouette, and you can't tell. You can't sex them because of the light. And it can be tough. So you really got to be cognizant of that. And anything you can do to tip the advantage in your favor, the IDing of a bird advantage in your favor, like high performance eyewear, like the Leupold high performance eyewear, the sunglasses. They hate it when I say sunglasses, but you guys know that's what it is. But really, they're not just sunglasses. When I think sunglasses, I think like gas station sunglasses, and they're not that. These things are high performance, just awesome pieces of equipment. And if you're out there spending money on Oakley's or some other brand that's not friendly to hunters and shooters, you should be buying Leupolds, man. Seriously, why would you support companies that don't like what you do, that don't support what you do? Support companies like Leupold. Buy their sunglasses, buy their performance eyewear instead of Oakley's. Yeah, rant number 2 on the podcast. Sorry, guys. Anyway, if you're spending money on sunglasses from brands like Oakley or other lifestyle brands that don't like hunters, they don't like shooters, you need to be looking at Leupold's performance eyewear, guys. Support companies that support us. As hunters and shooters, we need to be on board with companies like Leupold. And when they release products that we use all the time, like their performance eyewear, aka sunglasses, we should be supporting those companies by buying that product. Don't spend your money on other companies that hate you. Spend your money on companies that love you, that are like you, that do what you do. That's Leupold. Next time you need a pair of sunglasses, man, go to a dealer and try on as many different pairs of the Leupold performance eyewear pieces as you can. You're going to love the lenses. You're going to love the way they fit and feel. You're going to love how bright and awesome the sight picture is through them. I talked about it earlier, and I talk about it in this podcast, talk about it all the time. There's times when I can't ID birds because of the lighting situation. I slap that Leupold performance eyewear on, and it cuts the glare, sharpens the sight picture, and I can tell what I'm shooting at a lot better. So, guys, go check those out. And Leupold, thank you. We love what you guys do. Keep up the good work. So that's kind of some keys to success for this season. A little bit of talking about, man, it was tough. I know it's tough. There's still guys out there hunting. Not here, but it's been a tough year for a lot of folks. And it's just the little things. When seasons get tough like this, I find that in order to be successful consistently, I have to drill down into the fundamentals of duck hunting. My calling, my shooting needs to be top-notch. My decoy placement and my scouting needs to be dialed. And concealment is a given. That's why I love the Cryptek Skyfall pattern. just awesome stuff. So, guys, that's kind of a wrap-up of the 2023 season. I've still got some hunts in the can. We're going to go do some honker hunts. We're going to go do a honker hunt with Platte Basin Outdoors, who was just on the last podcast. We got a hunt lined up with them in a week and a half. I think it's the 1st and the 2nd of February. And we go here for Lake Goose until February 18th. So we will be getting out here locally and trying to shoot some geese. I know I've got 3 little kids at home that are clamoring for some blind time that they didn't get much of this year. And I think it's probably going to happen in a goose field, or maybe even on the river in a goose blind. So excited for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. Hunting with the family, wrapping things up. We have a snow goose hunt that I'm about 90% on in Nebraska. That's going to be a go. Spring turkeys, we've got a couple different spring turkey hunts coming up that I'm very excited about. Planning on going back to Iowa this spring and hunting with some friends, the Raised Hunting Crew. They have an awesome social media presence. They have a great podcast and a killer YouTube channel as well, guys. They're whitetail dudes and turkey dudes. We had them out fishing last summer and kind of shared some podcast time with them. Awesome set of guys. So check out the Raised Hunting guys on Instagram, on Facebook, on their podcast. Give them a gander. We're going to go hunt turkeys with them this spring. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then turkeys here in Wyoming. I got to get turkey apps in for that here. Maybe I'll draw my coveted. There's a limited quota, limited entry turkey tag here locally that is pretty highly coveted, and I've never drawn it, so I would like to have that experience this year too. That'd be a lot of fun if I can. And then planning on snow geese with Michael McNeil, who's been twice on the podcast. He's got a killer social media presence. The dude is just an absolute slayer. It's fun to watch him kind of live vicariously through Michael out there. He's been on the podcast twice. He started his own YouTube channel. And he's got a great Instagram page that you guys should be following. Just a good dude, and we're going to go hunt snow geese in Canada in May with him. So that's kind of what 2024 has in store for us. 2023 was tough, but, man, I'm looking at it, and everything's looking bright in 2024, guys. It's a new year, and I'm stoked. So thank you for listening to this week's episode, and get out there, practice those fundamentals, get the last few days in of season, enjoy what you got, because we're already on the downhill slide headed into next season. So check out the gear I recommended for you guys. Give those companies a look, and check out the other folks that I mentioned in this podcast as well. If you're looking for hunts, if you just want some great content, give them a look, guys. Get out there, shoot them birds up the rest of this season, and keep practicing your fundamentals. Till next time, guys, we'll catch you in the field.